I don't know why people just assume that I'm some sort of GOP darling and that the GOP can do no wrong. Hello? I'm a Christian, right? I believe in the sinfulness of mankind. And just because
Mm.
you have an R behind your name does not shield you from the depravity of man, nor does it make you morally upright. My guest tonight, Ms. Christina Kuramo, she has a master's in Christian apologetics from Biola University, and she is also an alumnus of Discovery Institutes, which is C.L. Lewis's Fellows Program on Science and Society. Now, Christina, you guys, now you know she can't be from Michigan and not be an avid sports fan, but she is. But more importantly, she has a passion for spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, and she is concerned for the eternal souls of her fellow man. Let's welcome to the show my sister in the Lord, Miss Christina Kuramo. Hi, beautiful.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I know we've been planning this for a couple of weeks now. And so I'm just ready to get into this interview. I'll let you say a few words before we get into the nitty gritty of what we plan to talk about.
Well, for one, thank you, April, so much for having me on your show. I really do appreciate it. But to your point in your monologue, is that people think that we are just, step and fetch it for the Republican Party, and we're not. The thing about it is that I am a Republican because of the party platform that states that we are the party of the Constitution. And the Constitution is one of the greatest man-made documents ever, and it is all about recognizing our God-given liberties. And I stand by the platform, and the majority of our delegates, our activists, are phenomenal God fearing patriots. However, there is a significant portion of the party who are a bunch of godless, pathological liars, and they pretend to be Christian to gain power and authority when they're just as wicked as anybody else. And it's destroying the country. So it's not, one of the things I really want people to understand, this is not some kind of me personally complaining and whining and stamping my feet like a toddler. I'm actually trying to warn people of what is upon us because we're going to lose our country. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I'm a wool dyed Republican because of the party platform, not because of the behavior of people. With that being said, just as a Christian, what makes me believe in the Christian faith? It's the Holy Bible. So any
Mm.
type of belief system or movement, it has foundations to it. And for us, the party is it's our party platform. So it's irrespective of your political affiliation, you need to read your party platform and see exactly what these people stand for. But with that being said, it's important for people to understand what is happening because we are going to lose our country. And people need to not be foolish enough to think that America can't fall because America can fall. And you have these people I encounter who act like I don't care. This country is terrible. I'm like, where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? So where you going?
Right.
Like this is the greatest country in human history, but there are issues that we need to address. And even within the party who claims to be the party of Lincoln, the party of the Constitution, we have a lot of frauds who are preventing us from actually living up to those expectations that we espouse on our party platform.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you just kind of came out the gate and let us know who you are and where you stand. I love listening to passionate women of all stripes who are not ashamed to declare their faith and the truth of the gospel, but who also are able to espouse and articulate a love of country. Because I don't want to live somewhere where I hate and want the country, to fall down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how you were voted in as the Michigan GOP chair by an overwhelming 58%. That's like a sweeping victory. You kind of spanked your opponent and you built your platform on, it was framed around faith, family values, and a religious objection to child assassination in the womb. So, the first thing I want to do is say, praise God for your willingness to be bold and to just declare, this is who I am. These are the values that I represent. Vote for me if you think I'm great. And if not, just keep it moving. But the question that I want to ask you is, with that being your platform, tell us a little bit about that race, how you won, and then how it all just went left.
Yeah, so to even provide a little bit more background, have been really active in the Republican Party because I believe our civic duty does not end at voting. You know, most people think I
Right.
voted, I did my job. Like, no, you didn't. Did you show up to a meeting? Have you read what these people have been doing? If you haven't, if you're not aware of what your elected officials are doing, and I don't mean watch your 11 o'clock news, because guess what? They're controlled opposition. I'm talking about
Right.
actually read the original documents of what these people are up to. If you're not doing that, you don't know what's going on. So,
Right.
nevertheless, I was one of the poll challengers during the 2020 election, and the cover up of the 2020 election was absolutely unbelievable. I was in Detroit. I witnessed firsthand election fraud. It was just completely surreal, the fact that our election system is corrupted. And this is not a partisan issue at all, because we found Republicans who also have been involved in corrupting our election system. So this is not like Democrats are cheating. No, we have a uniparty that consists of people of multiple political affiliations who get on TV and argue in front of us to have us hating each other, and then behind the scenes they're all in cahoots together. So, nevertheless, I personally witnessed fraud in the 2020 election. I was a poll challenger in Detroit. I was there for 37 hours, and I was one of the people who came forward to speak about what I had saw. Because if we don't have accurate elections, if we don't remedy systemic election corruption, we don't have a country. What other mechanism do we have to have our voices heard? You know, even if you look throughout human history, there's only two ways to have your voice heard and to have a say about who's in control. It's either war or voting. And we definitely don't want any type of conflict. So we better be glad that we have an election system. But that system has been corrupted. So I ran for the office of Secretary of State. I won the nomination for Secretary of State with 67% of the vote, and I had two opponents. One was actually a clerk, and one was a state rep, and I won on the first round, 67% of the vote. And as I went across the state, I got so much pressure from the party to shut up about elections. So in Michigan, we had a governor, Governor Engler, who was governor for 3 terms here in Michigan. And after the primary, because I wanted a convention race, so after the primary, where after the governor's candidate was selected, I approached him and I'm like, hey, um, I would love to sit and talk with you and discuss how you could be of support of my race for Secretary of State, and give me some pointers, because I'm very big on reaching out to people who've been there, done it, and got a T-shirt so I can
Right.
learn from them so I can excel. And he didn't even look up for his meal and said, "Stop talking about elections. Stop talking about elections. It's noise." This is what he said. So it's like, okay, wait a second. So I am speaking truth about an election where I watched Democrats cheat an election where our guy got booted from office, and you want me to shut up about it? Because if the shoe was on the other foot and there had been a bunch of Democrats witnessing Republicans cheating an election, not only would they be screaming from the hilt, but their party would be backing them. And that was the problem. I had so much pressure from the party to be quiet about elections. Like, don't talk about elections, because they've been cheating too. So then
Ooh,
I realized very quickly
wait,
that it's not. Hmm.
say that one more time. You said they had been cheating too. Who is the they?
Republicans. There are Republicans who cheat in elections. So it doesn't make no sense that our own party would try to silence me and tell me to quit talking about elections. I'm like, I'm running for Secretary of State. My job is to
Oh,
be the chief election officer. And this wasn't just in Michigan. This is across America. I was
right.
part of a national slate for folks like Mark Fincham from Arizona, who's a wonderful man and a patriot. People like Jim Rashad from Nevada, Rachel Hand from California. It was a lot of us a part of a national slate. We were the conservatives for election integrity, and our focus was to become secretaries of state, not to put our thumb on the scale and help Republicans win. It's to make sure that we have free and fair elections. Because when we talk about voting rights, right? The way the media has created this myopic narrative that voting rights is just about ballot access. What's ballot access without ballot security? Because if you allow illegal ballots into the system, you've nullified my legal vote. So we don't need just ballot access. We need ballot access, and we need ballot security.
Security.
So you have to have ballot security. So that is something that's completely missing from our election system. So we made a really big deal about that. And the party sabotaged my race. That I went to theology school. I did not go to theology school to run for Secretary of State, but I witnessed fraud and nobody did anything about it. So I was like, well, I'm gonna run for Secretary of State. And so after that, we won the nomination. Then the party was actively sabotaging me. Our party would not publicly acknowledge me. And I don't say this because all my feelings are hurt or they treated me bad or this is unfair. It's like, how can we win an election when you have your statewide candidate who is second in line behind the governor and you don't even acknowledge this person?
When
That's
you
the
say
Secretary of
when you
State.
say that you were not acknowledged, what do you mean by that? Because
They
we've got
would
to
not.
speak with clarity so people understand, what do you mean by not being acknowledged?
The party, our state party, would
Hmm.
not even acknowledge me publicly. So they would publicly promote the AG candidate, they would publicly promote the governor candidate, they would publicly promote the congressional candidates. They would
Right.
not publicly promote the Secretary of State. This is a statewide race. So the way it works with the division of labor, the state party, our primary focus are those statewide races. Plus, with the help of the House and Senate caucuses we run, we focus on those races. But
Right.
the state party's primary race of focus are statewide, which includes the Secretary of State. So how can I, as a candidate, succeed when the state party won't even promote me and try to encourage people to vote for me?
So, what do you
So
think was behind their unwillingness to just acknowledge that, hey, we have someone running over here? What do you think that was all about?
they were complicit in election fraud.